Hey folks, Scott and Len here from Father and Son Hunting. Well, we're down to our last episode of our turkey hunt for season 3, and unfortunately I wasn't part of the hunt, but it was my dad here that went out, and we're going to hear how that hunt went. Father and Son Hunting is dedicated to preserving and sharing the wonderful opportunity to hunt, fish, and enjoy our outdoor heritage. We could keep our experiences to ourselves, but we'd rather share them with you and encourage you to do likewise. Father and Son Hunting, living our outdoor dream. Today's hunt brought to you by Field Torque Knives, Sitting Hawk, Tebow's Rugged Pack, Rhino Skin, Attach-A-Cam, SRB Field Rests. Father and Son Hunting can be viewed at hunted.tv network.
Well, this was a real challenge, right at the end of the season, and I have to say, one of the most stressful, most challenging hunts that I've done. Successful in the end, and might as well have the good news first. But it was interesting. So
before we get into it, then, Dad, tell me then what was your pre-scouting preparations, your plan for the hunt? What did you do?
Well, went out the week previous and had a look over everything. I had been on the far side of this river and knew there were birds there. I'd been there earlier in the season, and went out, found a real nice thorn apple fence row and a great location in underneath it. I'm facing south and a little east, and the river runs from the east of me and around behind to the north of me, and the birds roost on the bank of the river, and with very predictably that's where they are. So I was out there real early, total darkness. It's a long walk in, and got set up under the thorn apple trees, and I had a great spot to sit. Put out a single hen decoy, and I like them out about 23, 24 yards in front of me, and we were good to go. Okay, so when you got set up, how soon did you start hearing some action? Still dark. First gobbles, sounds like a good mature bird, and he had lots to say. Go, 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 steady. And then, very first light, here he comes down the field. So I'm probably, like I say, 350 yards from the river, and we got lots of big hills down close by the river. He comes down the field so slowly. Gobble, gobble, gobble. Never quit gobbling. This first session with him took the better part of 45 minutes. And in that 45-minute period, he never strutted once. Not a feather was ruffled, and just continuous gobbling.
So what were you thinking then for 45 minutes and he's getting hung up? What were you thinking? What was the problem, or what was creating that?
I was pretty near convinced this was going to be a failure, because he wasn't going to subscribe to my setup. The hen decoy was looked fine, but he stayed out, always 70 to 100 yards from me. And as he worked his way up the fields ever so slowly, and the hill in front of me, he went high and around, came almost to my right. He came from my left to my right, and he just wouldn't come down. I talked to him a few times, and he'd respond every time I talked, but he wasn't going to close the gap, and he wasn't going to strap.
So did he hang around, or did he take off? What did he do?
He worked away in front of me, looked it over from all angles, and as slowly as he came, back he went. Never quit gobbling, gobbled the whole time, all the way back, never strutted once. And just as he got to the back end of the field at the riverbank, the sun was just about ready to come up. So when he got back there, I figured the show was over, everything was done, I'd failed. And then two jakes gobble from the south of him at the top of the riverbank. Very immature voices, not hard to tell. And as soon as they gobbled, boom, he responded to them immediately. Big gobble back out. And he is out of my sight at this point in time. And
So you're stuck in the middle then of the two, of the jakes and the tom then. You're right in the middle.
I'm at the west end of the field. He is down at the east end of the field by the river. And these jakes have just come up over the riverbank. I can't see them. And they have expressed, obviously they've probably seen my hen decoy. And they've just expressed interest, and he has just told them to back off. And they gobbled one more time. He responded to them one more time. I threw in a few yelps. He responded to me again, and no mistaking the difference in the voices, okay? And the sun is up at that point. So I held off for a minute, everything was quiet, and then he gobbled one more time, and I could tell it was closer. He was coming. So, show's back on. And so the second half of the show was just as long as the first half. We were pretty near an hour and a half for this whole performance. Now, when he came back the second time, from that point on, dead silence. There was never another gobble, and he was in full strut the whole time. Beautiful bird, nice big bird. You'll see pictures here. My videoing was impaired because he's very much to my left, and I'm shooting through the thorn apple trees, so we got some focus issues. And again, almost a 45-minute session before he finally made the commitment that he was going to come over and address the hen. And he committed suicide, regretfully, with that move. But it took that competition, that chivalry from those two jakes to make this thing work. and I have to say, competition is a big component in successful turkey hunts. I'm sure you found that.
Well, we learned that in the last 2 seasons when we started to put some jakes out, and as you've seen this past year, we put a tom out with our hen. I think it brings the game up a notch. It gets them a little bit more excited. It makes it like the competition is driving it home a little bit harder, and I think it can be a bit quicker. So in hindsight, although an hour and a half is a lot of fun, do you think having a jake decoy with you that day, or a tom decoy, would have helped?
An hour and a half is just plain simply stressful. And I would have to agree. Hindsight says put that jake decoy out there with him, and I'll bet you we would have cut that show down to 50%. But it still took those 2 real jakes at the back to speak up and express interest, and that's when the show really started.
We use natural cover as a blind, and we don't use tree stands, we don't use manufactured blinds. So movement for us is key, and having good natural cover around us, which is you talked about having a lot of thorn trees around you, the branches out. It's difficult to film, but certainly is a more natural setting to have a good successful hunt.
And just remember, if you can capitalize on that natural competition, things are going to happen. If you know there's some jakes with the mature toms, great place to go. Take advantage of it. It'll work for you.
Thanks for watching, folks. Stay tuned for more father and son hunting.